You now tuned in to the Gumptown Podcast. I'm your boy Doug B. We ain't got nothing to talk about, but we got something to talk about. Let's go. Good people. Welcome back to the Gumptown Podcast, episode 121. I'm your boy Doug B. If you tuned in to this podcast, thank you for your time and your attention. I really appreciate you giving this podcast a shot. Today's guest is the founder and owner of The VergeMGM. I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I'm sure we'll all be inspired by his story. Let's chop it up with Johnathan Hall. John, how's it going, man?
Hey, it's going pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Glad to hear that, man. All is well on my end, too. First things first, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to chop it up with me. I really appreciate it.
Look, man, the honor is all mine, man. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Of course, here to talk about the VergeMGM and your career as a music artist. But before we talk about your career, let's get to know the man behind it all. So I know you born and raised in the Gump. What was it like coming up in the city?
Man. I'm born and raised here in Montgomery, Alabama. Music has always been like a huge part of my life, like really since birth, man. Raised by my mom, grandmom, aunties, uncle, all that good stuff, man. So huge family, man. Went to school on the west side of Montgomery, Haver Road Elementary, McIntyre Middle, and also Carver High School. So yeah, I also went to Alabama State as well. I studied music education over there, and I've also taught the high school. I went back to my high school to teach as well. I was their percussion instructor for 4 years. So yeah, music has always been around. I've
Okay.
played.
No, it's all
Yeah,
good.
man.
Go for it, man.
Yeah. I started playing the drums. The drums is my primary instrument. I've been playing that since I was 2 years old. And as I got older, when I was about 7, that's when I started playing the guitar. 13 is when I taught myself how to play the piano, and I started taking lessons once I got in high school. And I took piano lessons also when I was in college because I was a part of the degree program and all that good stuff. So, other than that, man, music has always been like a huge part of my life and in my family's life as well. My sisters, one of them, she marched in high school, and that's kind of like where I got the drive from, being around her. And my mom, she's a huge lover of music, Prince, Luther Vandross, uh, Michael, not even Michael Jackson, but Michael Jackson was played as well. But definitely Luther and Prince, man, that's all that was playing through the house. So
Okay. Hey, you can't go wrong with that. Appreciate you sharing your story, your upbringing. Like you said, you had your mom, uncle, siblings. Sound like you had a great village around you growing up.
yeah, man, yeah, absolutely.
That's what it's all about, man. It takes a village, man. But that's great that you went to Carver, graduated, went on to attend the Alabama State University. What was the HBCU experience like for you?
Oh man, I was in the marching band. So my experience was the band life. That part was really fun. Being able to travel, traveling to different schools, traveling to Tennessee State. That was pretty much in classes. So my college life, for the most part, it was just band and class because that's pretty much all I had time for. My sophomore year there, I also joined Phi Mu Alpha. That's a music fraternity. Shout out to the Delta Beta chapter over at Alabama State University. So other than that, that's why I really branched into like singing, like for real, like really taking it seriously when I joined that organization up there.
Okay, much respect, man. You got a chance to play in the greatest band in the land. The mighty Marching Hornets is the one and only. They can't clone us. They be trying, but never, often, yeah, often copied, but can never be duplicated. But so that's great. So you had a chance to play in the band, attend the Alabama State University. And yeah, that's dope that you ended up staying home. I'm from Montgomery too, and I went to the Alabama State University as well. What led to your decision to stay home and go to Alabama State?
Really the music scholarship.
Nice.
Um, yeah. So as a drummer, it's kind of really hard to get like a music scholarship and a marching band scholarship. So me, I was like section leader. I was drum major in high school. So anything dealing with drums, I was like, yeah, like an expert at like an expert at it, man. I was really, really good. So that's what made me stay home. And that out of state tuition. Once I found out about that, I was like, okay, well.
Right. Right now, I'm in the same boat because I wanted to go to UA, but when Alabama State offered the full ride, I said, well, I get to stay at the crib and go to school. So were you on campus or were you still at home with your folks?
I was on campus. Yeah, I was on campus.
Okay, you stayed on campus. Dope. So you got a chance to experience that life. Okay, cool. But I'm pretty sure you was making regular visits back to the crib, raiding the fridge and visiting mom and the family though.
Right, right. Almost every weekend, man.
For
Almost every
sure.
weekend.
For sure, man. That's amazing. And just hearing you talking about your love for music and you coming from a musically inclined family. So did anyone else in your family venture off and become artists such as like you have?
I have a cousin. His name is Jeff, but his artist name was Queasy. He was probably like one of the only. Yeah, he was like the only other person like on the artist level who was out making moves. I was really, really young. Uh, once I got older, I saw like the videos of him performing in different cities and stuff. He was a rap artist. So seeing him and being around my cousin who would produce the music for him, being in that atmosphere, that kind of, I feel like, that grew on me as I got older, like always being around it and seeing it, it kind of influenced you to, you know, walk in that way, but also, learn and do stuff on your own. So,
Okay, it makes sense, man. And John Boy being your stage name, how did you arrive at that name? What inspired it?
uh, my uncle, that's kind of like a childhood name for me. Yeah, like, I didn't know other reason behind it. My uncle, growing up, he would always yell out "Jump Boy," like "What you doing?" or "Jump Boy, get from over there." So, for me as like an artist name, that's where that comes from.
Okay, much love, man. Very organic way to name yourself. Shout out to Unc for giving you the name. And now you finna take Unc nickname and turn it to a household name with the business and the music, man. That's dope. Very organic.
Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. So you make this transition into becoming a artist, recording artist. Can you recall the first show you got booked for? So what was the venue and what was the outcome?
Oh wow. Okay. Shout out to Just Jason. Just Jason, he's a spoken word artist and poet here in the city of Montgomery, Alabama. I went to one of his open mics. It was a poetry open mic, but at the time when I first started, I was more on like the neo soul vibe. Hint, my Instagram name is John Boy Speaks. So um one of my first songs that I ever created, it has like a neo soul feel to it. And I went out to his open mic and it was full of poets and they was like, "So what are you gonna do?" I was like, "Well, I'm gonna sing." And they was like, "You're gonna sing?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay." So after that, as it went on, I performed, everybody loved it. Like they loved it to the point that even like three other poets used like my track behind them as like the music behind them. And as the show went on, it's like I eventually won it because of like everybody loved it, and even also the other poets used the music behind to do their pieces. But after that, he granted me my first show. It was at Full Moon. That's over also in Montgomery as well. It's over by the Gunner Air Force Base. I had never done anything like it before, so I had to like create a set list with a live band with like 8 songs. I had to perform for like an hour or so. So I'm like, yeah, I've never done anything like this before. So shout out to Just Jason, because after that, I started traveling more. Started branching off into Atlanta, and because of the show that I did with him, it propelled me to also go out to Atlanta, and that's where I met Rico Barino's manager at another open mic. So at the beginning stages of my career, I was doing the open mics, and I went to an open mic in Atlanta at Apache XLR. That's the venue. And after I performed there, it was just she was like, "Hey, I want you to perform at my birthday party." So me not knowing who she was, I gets to her birthday event, and now I found out like I'm opening up for Rico Barrino. So like after I perform, it's Rico Barrino. And ever since then, man, making that connection, it was just a consistent motion of staying locked in, traveling, finding more people, and letting God lead the way, honestly, man, because at the time I didn't know what I was doing. So I was like just taking every opportunity, man. And all I can say is, God really led the way. And all the success that I have for the most part has come from him. So yeah.
For sure. Much respect. That's what it's all about. Being obedient and going, even though you may not understand what's going on, like you said, and I appreciate you for being transparent about that. But that one gig in Montgomery led to the next gig and the next gig. And shout out to you for being obedient and showing up and actually doing the gigs, because you could have easily called out or chicken out, but you went through with it because in your heart of hearts, I'm pretty sure you were thinking, why not? I mean, these opportunities coming my way. Why not pursue them? You never know what comes of it. So you get a chance to open up Perico Barrino. And what was that? So once you realized you opening up for him in that moment, were the butterflies there, or did you, or were you just confident that you were gonna nail it?
At that time, like I didn't even know that he was gonna be there until he walked in. So
Oh, okay, cool.
so so it wasn't really too much butterflies. Um, the Atlanta scene, they accepted me, with full arms. So it was more catered to like R&B singers as well. So it kind of felt like natural. It was more so being the only artist from the South, being the only artist from, Montgomery, Alabama, or like Alabama period. And it was more so of like, hey, this is what we do in Montgomery. Like, so now y'all get a flavor of, they, consider us as country people, but all of us, we got some, we can do what we what we can do. So
Yeah.
it was more of like making a statement of, hey, like it's not just country music that's in Montgomery or in Alabama. Like we have everything. So
Shout out to you for showing up and representing for the Gump. Let them know, like, hey, we more than just cotton fields, man. We got real talent up in this junk, man. That's
yeah,
what's
man.
up. For sure. So aside from Montgomery and Atlanta, where are some other cities that your music career has gave you the privilege of traveling to and performing in?
So after after that, after I was opening up for like the different celebrities, um, in that transition, um, I met my PR. He's more like a public relations. He kind of like helps move the artists around and make sure in the scenes everywhere. I did a tour with him doing the Rolling Loud tour back in 2022. So during that summer, we got the chance to travel from Atlanta and throughout like all the cities, all the major cities like Jacksonville, Tampa, Orlando, down in Florida. So it was like a 14-day tour, and each day we was either, well, not every day, but more so throughout that time span, we was in a different city, performing at different venues. So I've done that, and I've also performed in Louisiana down in Baton Rouge.
Okay. Getting a chance to travel, man. I love to travel, man. So I had to ask you about that because I figured you had a chance to get exposed to some new places. So shout out to Florida and Louisiana, man, and just so the tour life. So I've never, I'm not an artist. I've never been on tour. So living out your suitcase, going from city to city, was it everything you expected it to be, or were you caught by surprise with the tour life? What was just that overall experience being on tour?
That was definitely my first time ever doing anything like that. So I would say it was more humbling than anything. But you was also around like great people. So everywhere we went, the venues they showed love, being able to really react and interact with the crowd. That's really what gave the trip and like the whole everything like worthwhile. It had its ups and downs. Once you be away from home, I say about like day 6 is kind of like when it settled in. Like, wow, so we really just formed at this venue, stuck around, chat. now we're back in the Sprinter van, and like now we on to the next area, you know. So like everybody that I just met is kind of like, yeah, not gonna see you guys again, but we follow each other on social media, so you know. So it was more like a humble experience, and you know, being around people you've never met before. Uh, Also, it kind of is really fun. I would say.
Cool, man. Now that's great. And I'm like I said, I'm appreciate you for sharing that. And I said it was a humbling experience. And yeah, just being homesick, I can only imagine, man. But at the same time, like you said, the people that you met, the people that you got a chance to shake hands with and collaborate with during that tour, that's what made it all worthwhile. So in your music career, you've done great things so far. You had a chance to travel. So has there been any celebrity you met that had you starstruck or stopped you in your tracks when you met him? Not in a fanboy weird way, but just when you met him, like, dang, like that's really such and such over there. Have you had that encounter with any celebrities you met?
With Tank and Jacquees. Those were the only two so far. Is where like I've been like really being in the same room with them. Like I opened up for them as well, and also you know like Life Jennings. But really being like right there with them and being like, wow, I just sung a song, and now this man is here, like killing it, you know. So
Right.
uh, so I would say those were my starstruck moments so far that I've had so far.
Okay, for sure. And yeah, both of those, uh, both of those guys are dope artists and make dope music. And Tank, he has a podcast as well, and he's funny as heck on that podcast. Is he just as funny in person?
He is, man. He is.
For sure. Nah, man, that's good stuff, man. Appreciate you for sharing that. So let's talk about the Verge MGM. What you got going on over there?
Man, with the Verge MGM, I've started that back in 2022 as well. Really, as soon as I got off tour, I realized that it was a lot of things that weren't happening like in my hometown, and I realized that it was so many dope creatives and so many dope artists that's here, but yet we don't have like the platform to really express ourselves and to really show anybody what we're really capable of. So with the Virgin GM, I started out with the bands. I started out with some of my friends, that are super talented singers, and I was like, hey, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna create gigs. Like we're gonna find people that are looking for bands, and we're gonna gig, and we're gonna really make this happen. Uh, so that started a while, and then I moved to start doing artist showcases because I didn't want to leave anybody out. So it was like, oh, you just catering to the singers. So it was like, well, not necessarily. So far, what I've been carrying into all this year is doing different artist showcases that include everyone. Uh, and so throughout that, I've created like different sound stages and different platforms that we can move around so that won't nobody be left out. So with that, I've done shows and events, like I've hosted the events in Auburn and also in Birmingham. And I've been connecting with artists in those cities as well, and really just providing that platform for other independent artists so their voice could be heard. Mainly, that's like my drive. That's like really my love. So that everybody could really have an opportunity, and you don't feel like you have to leave your hometown, like you have to go to Atlanta, or you have to go to Nashville, or down in Florida. It's more so we can do that here, right here in the city, where we're at. And we just put in the work and put in the consistency and the know-how, and slowly but surely you'll see the impact and change.
That's amazing that you saw a need in the city. You went on tour, you got exposed to that life and getting a chance to see artists who were at the top of their game. So you got a chance to be around them and you come back to the city and you say, okay, my city needs an avenue for people, for creatives to come express themselves. So I think that's great that you were willing to step out there into uncharted territories and create a lane on your own, because it's would have been very easy to not do so and just move to Atlanta and take your music career to the next level. But I think that's commendable that you were willing to come back home and say, okay, let me show the world what the Gump has. So let me create a platform for artist development. And I'm just looking at all the different services that you offer. I mean, I just think it's amazing. Like, especially what stands out to me is just the content creation, the art, the social media revamp, traveling tours, and you really just creating this platform to give artists in Montgomery an opportunity to gain some exposure. I think that's great, man. That's really dope.
Thank you, thank you. Uh, so yeah, like that's mainly for the most part. That's what we do. Like I'm still developing like some more things to do, like a whole lot more. That's catering to businesses and as well. As far as like billboard promotions, doing like lucrative ads that lead to actual sales, doing sending your information out excuse me, to the people, to the community, that makes Montgomery so great. And it's really a lot, man. So like music is the first part, but it's really like a whole network all within itself to really circulate and gather a community of people to share resources, to spread love, and we really all just help each other grow and elevate together. So
Absolutely. The art of collaboration, like collaboration is key. And I think that's great that you created this platform for that type of collaboration. That's really dope. So the next portion, whenever I have entrepreneurs, creators on the platform like yourself, I like to ask three things. Aha, talk about the aha moment, action, and audacity. So you launched The Verge back in 2022, and your aha moment was you realized Montgomery was missing something. So you decided to create this to fill that void. After having your initial aha moment, how long did it take you to take action and towards coming up with a name and actually getting started with The Verge?
Um, it took me it took me about 3 months. I didn't want to rush into anything. So I told my brothers, because we was all musicians, like just playing together, and they was like, John, you need to really start. Like, you need to start your own thing, man. You need to start something. Like, you know what to do. So after that, I just took time away, and I was like just sitting thinking. I was like, okay, well, let me map everything out first. I was like, let me put everything down in phases or whatever. And this is going to be like our guide. This is going to be the initial guide where we take these baby steps, and we take these steps and see the progress and what we're doing. So I would say about 3 months I've waited before I initially launched it out, to the public.
Okay, that makes sense. And 3 months fly by like that. So that really wasn't a long time. You had to make sure you dotted your I's and crossed your T's. Much respect.
Yeah, yeah.
So the last portion, audacity, is one thing to have an idea. It's another thing to act on the idea, but to put it out to the world to be praised or criticized. In my opinion, that's when that takes audacity to do so. Who or what gave you that courage to put the Verge MGM out to the world to be praised or criticized?
Really, my mom. To be honest with you, uh, she always instilled in me, like, really not even just being like the creative, but more so like you know what you're capable of. She was like, so don't be afraid to do so, and really just her, speaking those words to me, because like also like besides music, like I make T-shirts, like I can handcraft, bow ties. So creatively, I was always doing something. So when it came back to music, something that's like like the second nature, like not even, you know, like I don't have to think about it. It was more so she was like, this is the thing that comes easiest to you. And all you have to do is like just do it. So the name and everything, that was the that was the longest part. Really sitting and trying to figure out, okay, well, why would I call it The Verge? The motto is we're on the verge to something greater. So uh, I remember I was sitting at BB King's, and that's how I created. Like it just that was the aha moment with the name. I was actually at BB King's, and I was trying to figure out a logo. I was trying to figure out something that would be meaningful, and that's what came to me. But it all started back from the words that my mom spoke to me.
Man, much respect to mom, man. And it just goes back to what I was saying earlier about having that right village around you, having the right people around you. And it's so cool how Mom was there for you as a child and made sure you were straight and made sure you grew up to become an adult. And now, even as an adult, mom still giving you that game. And because of her encouraging words, the Verge MGM was born and put out to the world. Man, that's a dope story, brother.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So you've done great things with the Verge MGM, and I know great things are coming down the pipeline, which leads to my next portion, vision. What are some of your short term and long term goals for the business that you feel comfortable speaking about?
Okay. Um, some of the short term goals is also really having sustainable like venues to actually do like different events that cater to the different art forms. As far as like poetry, of course singing, and also the musical artists like the rappers and all that good stuff and live bands. Um, that's some of the short term goals so far that I've started with and still carrying over for 2024. Another short term goal is really locking in the artist development. Uh, so throughout that gap of my artist career, uh, I've slowed down from when I actually started The Verge. I slowed down my music career to really learn the music business. So now I'm in a place like currently to whereas I want to really teach all of the upcoming artists and just people who will really want to learn the business side of things and give that guide to the artist that's making music now, on how to like make sure your royalties are intact, make sure you own your music publishing before you put your music out. So I plan on starting different camps starting in 2024 to really teach the information that most artists don't know when they're doing their music career. So that's another short term that will carry on to being a long term and forever thing. Uh, a long term goal is really establishing a hub. Uh, establishing a hub here in Montgomery first. That where we can house everything from making the merchandise for different businesses and artists, uh, having our own radio station, uh, and really just everything, a whole really everything within the network from production to music videos to live shows, everything. That's really the ultimate long term goal to start here in Montgomery and then branch out to the other cities with the creatives that we have under us that's performing and doing everything as well. So yeah,
Okay, solid, man. Those are great short term and long term goals, and I have no doubt you'll make them all come to fruition.
thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. As we wrap up the podcast, I want to ask $1 million question, John. I started this podcast to highlight the greatness connected to the city, whether you were born here or lived here for a significant period of your life, be it college, military, or work. You being a hometown hero, what makes you the most proud to be from the Gump?
Ooh. Okay. What makes me the most proud of being from the Gump? Mm, I want to say really people knowing that we're from the South. It's a lot of richness here, period. Coming from a city that is filled with great leaders, coming from a city that have started like small but yet made global impact. Being here from Montgomery, it makes you feel proud to know that, anything is possible. Uh Anything is possible and you can really change the world, man. Most people come here for the history and not yet knowing that we're still making history every day. So to me, that's a blessing within itself to be from a place that's life changing and that's made a global impact on the whole entire world right here in this small town. So
Hmm.
they call us a small town, but from being from here and yeah, being around the greats and seeing that throughout time, I would say that much.
Yes, sir. And that's powerful stuff. How can people connect with you, John? What are your social media handles and website?
Yeah. People can contact me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It's all John Boy Speaks. That's JohnBoySpeaks. And you can also contact me via the VergeMGM. It's all one word together. And on my website is www.vergemgm.com.
Yes, sir. Of course, I'll put all of that information in the description of the episode. Hey, John, thanks again for the conversation, man. I really appreciate you.
Look, thank you, man. I really appreciate you reaching out.
Yes, sir.
This is
Good
like a
people.
first. I was like, this
Oh,
is
go
like a
ahead. Go ahead.
first. This is like a first for me. I never did like a podcast interview before, so you're the first person.
Oh, man. All good, man. And you did great, man. And keep shining, doing great things, man.
For sure, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Good people, that concludes another dope episode of the Gumptown Podcast. In the meantime, in between time, y'all know what to do. Be blessed, be safe, but most importantly, have the audacity to be you. Go on. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate your time and your attention. Until next time.